Okay, today is the 2nd of October, 2024, and last night was the Southern New Hampshire Hot Wheels trade night, which was pretty awesome. I didn't get much, but I also didn't sell anything or do any of that stuff. The goal was more to get the Mercedes down. Anyway, my buddy Jeff's helping out with finalizing making the Mercedes drivable again, the diesel. So I drove it down towards his neck of the woods, and it's at his house right now. But in any case, the trade night was awesome. But afterwards, we went to Jeff's house. Ross and I stopped by, and again, we ended up leaving the Mercedes there. But the cool part is that I got this from Jeff. The Citroen, the Buddy L, sort of Peterbilt Freightliner or whatever it is, and these little guys. And it's kind of sometimes even more fun is going to Jeff's house and getting cool vintage stuff, or trading for vintage stuff, or just a lot of times he just gives me things that, he's got either feels like he's got too much, which, I'm in the same category, but anyway, these are cool. Look at the detail on these. Speaking of Citroen, it's considering, they're cheap little toys, there's actually a lot of detail there. Look at this. They cast the Citroen emblem, and they have the name on the back of a lot of these. Some of them have them inside. This Oldsmobile is an example of that, where, zoom out a little bit, sorry about that. Here we go, it's this Oldsmobile. I can't figure out what year this is, though, speaking of Oldsmobile. It's very generic, but also just doesn't look like an Olds I've ever seen. It's supposed to be something from the early 60s, I think. I don't even know. Actually, well, no, it's got little itty-bitty fins out. Well, in any case, they're neat. They're cool little... You can actually make great backdrops for a diorama type of deal. Maybe in the way back of a diorama to sort of just have some abstract car shapes. But yeah, they're neat. I'm assuming these are from like the late 60s. Maybe early 70s. In any case, the Buddy L truck is from the 80s. I would imagine early 80s probably. Oh, well, just about as mid 80s as it gets. 1985. Oh wait, is that what that says? Yeah, 1985. Hong Kong, look at that. Stamped steel, essentially, with plastic base. But anyway, the Citroen's so cool. Toledo really did make some really awesome stuff back in the day. Look at this thing. 15.6. Went to 43rd scale. The opening hoods. And yes, I said opening hoods. Well, the opening hood, it's a butterfly hood. So it's two pieces. And most of the time in a size of model like this, it doesn't really function all that well. This sort of situation. I have a few where you can open up one side of the butterfly hood or the other side, but you can't have both of them open at the same time. Thereby, like they basically don't, there's not enough room designed in for the engine to be open on both sides. What's neat about this thing is that it opens on both sides, but also the engine's fairly detailed, and the actual, it's wild. I think that's so cool. What a neat car. I talk about how I hate front-wheel drive all the time, but you can't hate these cars. There's just something so cool about them. And they were sort of the inspiration for a lot of the lower, longer, wider trend. This predated a lot of, obviously the 810 Cord, and there's some other stuff that was front-wheel drive and low to the ground. But like, look, the 1930s car, this is very low slung. It was absolutely the sports sedan of its day. The other little detail that I love, the driver's side window, It's like 70% down. Yeah, that's so cool. It's shaped perfectly to look like it's just rolled down. Anyway, so that's Jeff gifted all these things to me, which is awesome. Actually, and one more. And this guy, which I'm so excited about. This is my second, but I opened up the first, and I'm seriously thinking about doing a wheel swap. Well, I would do a chassis swap, I guess, between this and one of the other 964s I have, because I love these wheels. These white wheels those are awesome. I don't know. I probably won't do that. I probably won't drill it apart. I'll just leave one on the card, bring this one to my parents' house, and hang it up, because that's a cool one. I did want to leave one of these on a card, but I wasn't lucky enough to find two. I found one. I was quite happy to find one. It's very hard to find these days. But anyway, let's keep going. Alright, so here's, I believe, the rest of what I got at trade night. Like I said, I didn't get a lot this month, but I did get some good stuff. Some loose randoms, like this Porsche, which needs to be cleaned up. I don't know why it's sticky. It's got, I don't know, like oil residue on it or something, or maybe glue from tape or something. I don't know. Some kind of industrial thing. But this Impala I didn't even know existed. This thing is awesome. I love the weird sort of Aztec theme going on here. And then another one of these, which means I can finally open one. And this Camaro is absolutely gorgeous. That one's getting open soon too. And the Roadrunner, I love this paint job. I wanted to walk away from it, but I ended up grabbing it. And actually, John Melanson had bought it after I walked away from it, and then when he found out that I really wanted it, he just sold it back to me. That was pretty funny. I felt bad at first, but I guess he wasn't super attached to it, so I was very happy to grab it off of him. And then I love this casting. Talked about that many times. I need to buy a couple of beat up versions of this casting because I have two that I need to restore, and I need a donor's part car. So if there's one with really wonky axles, or one that's missing missing all of its paint and it's chewed up, but it has the windshield, that'll be a good parts car for that. Anyway, there's that Citroen again, which I absolutely love. And then these two I want to feature and really actually show you. So Mike had made this car years ago. Look at that, hand painted, beautifully executed flames. So it's a Chevy Astrovan, by the way. And he had painted this up. It's all by hand. And then he sold it to a fellow collector. And then Phil, years later, bought out that guy's collection. And so he gave this back to Mike and said, hey, here's one of yours. And Mike, I'm sure, has a double of this or whatever, for whatever reason. Because I showed up late, I bought a raffle ticket anyway, but he was just sort of being nice because I didn't have to buy a raffle ticket, but I figured I'd contribute to the club. He gifted this to me, and I absolutely love it. The funny thing about this is that I bought the Disney version of this casting, and I was going to just repaint it some other color, because Disney's toxic these days. They're a horrible company for a multitude of reasons, but I just never got around to it. So I have one that's a double of the Disney one, and I just figured at some point I'd paint it burgundy with flames, or burgundy and put some water transfer decals on it or something. I mean, it's got all that area here. But how cool is that? That's an awesome gift to get, something that handmade like that. And I just think it's kind of funny how it's gone full circle, and then now back to me, back to Mike, I should say, full circle, and now he gifted it to me, which I totally appreciate. I think that's awesome. What a cool casting. Also, like, it's one of those examples of a casting that's made very smart, where there's one rivet, but on the front end, the grill sinks into the body, and that's how it's held together. So this is what's holding it up front, and the rivet is what's holding it out back. If you drill this rivet out, this grill slides out of, you know, the hole it's in within the body, and the whole thing comes apart. Anyway, on to John's custom. This is the last thing I want to show you guys. And this one, Ross and Jeff pointed this out to me because they thought it was right up my alley, which of course it is. But look at this custom. This thing's wild. That's so cool. John really does do a great job making these little customs, and I don't want to say what he charged me, but it was, I don't think he broke even on this one. It's just, he loves it. He loves doing it, so I think as long as he's not in the negative much, he does it for the passion of it, and I totally appreciate, and I can get behind that. That is crazy. Beautiful casting. Well, beautiful custom variation of a cool 68 Camaro casting. Look at that, though. These qualify for flames? Yeah, I mean, they're flames up here. How cool is that? Anyway, so that's what I got this time around. That was October 1st, 2024. Southern New Hampshire Hot Wheels. Made out like a bandit, as usual, considering I've spent very little, and got some cool stuff, including one of ones. You know, it's better than a Super. Something that's custom made, like this. In this case, hand painted. It's wild.